I've never seen a company as stubborn as WWE. I've never seen a company so willing to undercut its own product in order to petulantly try to prove their point. I have never seen a company go so far out of their way in any genre of anything out there in the world. I've never seen a company be so willing to go against the grain and so consistently want to spit in the face of their audience like the WWE.
Hello everyone, and welcome to your episode of This Week in Wrestling for September 8th, 2018. Actually, since we missed last week, I'll throw in, we'll cover a few articles from the previous week and this week. And as we heard, WWE spits in the face of their fans. Why? Because they turned Braun Strowman heel and disappointed all the gullible fans who thought it was going to be Roman turning heel. Oh, he should be. Yes, and there should be world peace. Listen, this meme says it all. I talked about this. I pointed out how the fans are to blame. You can get mad all you want about me blaming the fans. It's the truth. Within the span of 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes, they went from going crazy, cheering for Braun to cash in on Roman and take his title, and when 90 seconds later the Shield took out Braun Strowman, triple powerbomb. Yeah, I told you about Michael Cole, what he sits on during his broadcasts, those vibrating things. Listen, if you're complaining about this or you're upset about this, have you been watching since 2006? Have you been paying attention, or is your memory short? This has been the WWE's MO for the last 12 years, with Cena as the top guy, and now Roman Reigns. They build stars up, only to eventually feed them to these top guys. Now with Cena, it was a little different. Cena, when he wrestled these opponents that were built up for him, his opponents didn't go up. They didn't get the rub from wrestling Cena. At least pre-2016. Roman Reigns, I don't know. The jury's still out on him. He still needs to work with a variety of opponents. Not opponents that carry him. Let him carry someone for a change. But this, I was calling this over and over. I gave everybody the clues. The major clue was when Braun tried to cash in during the Roman Reigns Finn Balor match. What did he say? 2 weeks in a row. I'm going to cash in up front. And then, that Monday on Raw, after SummerSlam, when he came to run into the ring after Reigns had finally disposed of Finn Balor, by the way, still his only title defense on Raw, so much for the fighting champion who shows up every week on time. And the clue was, Braun gave Roman a big boot before cashing in. And of course we know the Shield came in and rescued him. Now, before we move on, I have to put this as a disclaimer for everyone listening who maybe is not used to my videos or doesn't understand my videos. I'm not defending anyone. I do these videos to analyze, to comment. And I usually like to offer proof. I like to debunk the IWC, and the IWC is not a bad derogatory term. Yes, it's the internet. We all have the internet. Yes, we are talking about wrestling. And yes, we are a community because we share the same characteristics or a set of characteristics, and we are a group. Okay? And here's just more hyperbole. This one from Solomonster.
It is a sin that the two Royal Rumble winners this year are basically, right now at this moment, an afterthought on this show. And that includes Shinsuke Nakamura, who I know always got a belt. He's the United States champion, so what? You can give him all the belts in the company. If he's not doing anything, and he's not, he's rarely on TV, and he's not in any kind of meaningful program, what does it really mean?
Now, Nakamura has been on the main roster for what? Over a year now? We'll say going on a year and a half, I believe. Listen, he debuted to much fanfare, much hype, deservedly so. He was international star in Japan. But this, again, I told everyone, manage your expectations. Keep your expectations. This is the problem of why there's a conflict and stress among wrestling fans, namely WWE fans. Many WWE fans have unrealistic expectations. I didn't say high expectations. I said unrealistic expectations. Listen, you got to realize WWE is the major leagues. They have all the top stars, nearly all the top stars. They're missing a couple here and there. And they're going to eventually probably come to WWE. They have all the top stars in the world. They have an all-star roster. Not everyone can get featured at the same time or be the champion at the same time. It takes a little time. And what time is that? It's the fans. The fans must engage. And entrances don't mean anything. See, you could get away with entrances in NXT. Of course, I will not dare to play more than 3 seconds of this because WWE is very strict with their copyrights. But you can see this was so over in NXT. The entrance, the Nakamura entrance, the Finn Balor entrances, the Bobby Roode entrances, the Asuka entrances. I've said it many times. Yes, the entrances are very well produced. Great, catchy theme songs. But then what? The old saying, eventually the bell must ring. And not that these these wrestlers can't wrestle. It's the fan reaction. Okay, they pop for the entrances. The entrances are over. But then, when the match begins, these people are on their phones, hardly paying attention. So, what are people supposed to do? What is the manager supposed to do? They know that these wrestlers are good and popular, but it doesn't matter until the WWE Pukeverse, as I refer to them, engage and support them. Fuck off with these entrance songs.
Is exactly the reason why people get so afraid when their favorites from NXT get called up to the main roster. Now, there are times when people get called up from NXT to the main roster and they fail because NXT is a different audience. What works in front of that audience will not always work in front of a larger mainstream audience. I agree. You could point to whether...
Yes, he's right. I told you, NXT is followed and their audience is about 300,000. Most of those WWE fans who are now disgruntled and have caught on and been misled into swearing by NXT. NXT is just a developmental territory. That's their job. Hey, listen, then you know what? Triple H is doing a great job because what his job is to sell all the free agent and new talent to the WWE audience to introduce the talent. They bought, and these hardcore NXT fans who are hardcore wrestling fans, they eat it up. But again, that's only 10% of the less than 10% of WWE's audience. A lot of people, most of the WWE audience, doesn't watch NXT, doesn't care about NXT, doesn't want to watch NXT, and some have never even heard of NXT or watched NXT. When they see these new wrestlers debut on the roster, it's probably their first time ever hearing about them or seeing them. Not everybody is a fan like me, you, or your buddy sitting next to you. We are hardcore fans. We comment on this every day and watch it every week religiously for years. Okay? We're 10% of the audience. But I don't agree with Nakamura being buried and Asuka being buried. Nakamura, when he turned heel, and he came off more charismatic. And instantly you could tell he was funny. And as for Asuka, believe me, they know she has the goods. They know they could see the charisma jump off the screen. They know she's different. They know she's special. And yes, they made both of them win the Royal Rumble. Do you think that people win? They give that to anybody? You think they give that prestige to anybody? Go check out all the Royal Rumble winners. Check out how many people have won it, and check out how many people have won it more than once. And check out the level of status of those people who have won. Legends, Hall of Famers. Oh, but they didn't do that to Nakamura and Asuka. Well, listen, they can't do everything all at once. It's Nakamura, it's Finn Balor, it's Kevin Owens, it's Chris Jericho, it's Brock Lesnar, it's Roman Reigns, it's Seth Rollins, it's Daniel Bryan, it's The Miz, it's Charlotte, it's Sasha Banks, it's Nia Jax, it's Alexa Bliss. You gotta give it time. I dubbed this the low standard generation. Well, I didn't dub it, but it is the low standard generation. But I dubbed them the quick gratification era. The quick gratification generation. They need everything now. They need this guy's got a debut. Oh well, if he's not undefeated every week for the first 10 weeks, and if he doesn't score a major title win, that's it. They give up on him. So what does that say about you, the fan? Right? People like to say defend themselves when, why do you keep watching Raw if you complain? Oh, well, I like the Mets. They stink, but I keep watching. I'm rooting in the hopes that they get good one day. Same thing with WWE. I'm hoping the show gets good. Well, yeah, okay, that's great. What about the wrestlers that you follow, that you like, that you're a fan of? You're going to give up on them right away? After a month, 2 months? Why? Instant gratification. Who comes in out of the league, from a different team or from a different league, immediately onto the team and takes over that team? Is given playing time. Very few and far between come in and make that big impact. In all of wrestling, it's not just WWE. Look at 1985, WCW. The Giant, Paul White. He debuted against Hulk fucking Hogan and won the WCW heavyweight title in his first match ever. In his debut professional wrestling match, the Giant, Paul White, aka The Big Show, beat Hulk Hogan for the WCW title. Finn Balor, 2016, he debuted from NXT, got a championship push, beat Roman Reigns on TV to advance, and we know he won the inaugural Universal title at SummerSlam. He got hurt the next night. Not his fault, not WWE's fault. They did the right thing. I'm tired of hearing people bury. This guy's buried, this guy's buried. This all started during the John Cena era. Oh, this guy's buried. Yeah. In 2010, 11, 12, 13, maybe 14. Yeah, a lot of that stuff was going on, like I mentioned earlier. They were building up nobodies that they had no plan, they had no long-range plans for, to feed to these guys, to Cena and Reigns. I think it's a little different right now. I think there is a little shift. First of all, this roster is is exponentially more talented than those past rosters of the early 2010s. You can't keep repeating the same talking points and the same arguments and the same complaints every year from 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013. Are you kidding me? First of all, it's extremely fucking boring.
Whether it's Adam Rose and the Rosebuds, or there are just certain acts, like No Way Jose. Now, No Way Jose, even in NXT, was never...
Oh, no, Salamatsu, but if you would have heard the outrage on social media, oh, Jose, No Way Jose is buried, oh, what did you think was going to happen? Oh, everybody, these people, by the way, I believe these hardcore, now I don't even say the anti-WWE, anti-main roster fans have become what they used to hate. And that is the John Cena fans who used to make excuses and defend John Cena. Now they are doing the same thing. Only reverse. Anything that has to do with the main roster, they look at it through the fucking stained glass window. They try to highlight everything negative, nothing positive, or they find very little positive, but anything besides the main roster, they defend, they swear by it, they put it over, they overhype it, like All In, and we'll get to that in a second. Again, not everyone is going to make it. Again, like I said, these videos I make are for fans, wrestling fans, or anybody who wants to learn about wrestling. I'm not that I'm an expert, but who wants a fresh perspective, a real, intelligent, analytical perspective of what's going on. And this is just logic. It's easy. All the wrestlers on the main roster are super talented. Everyone has been a main eventer, a champion of champions in other organizations all around the world. But then when you get all of these main eventers and stars and legends and indie darlings and superheroes all under the one umbrella of the WWE main roster, Raw and SmackDown, guess what? A lot of people are not going to be left behind. Some are going to fall through the cracks. Some are going to get forgotten about. Some are not going to work out. Some are not going to translate well, as Triple H said. But see, I pointed it out last week. I don't have it with me, but he explained during a conference call how some of why NXT wrestlers fail or aren't successful at the main roster. And he said some are built for the main roster and some are built for NXT. What does that mean? The schedule's night and day. In NXT, you're lucky to wrestle once a week. A few times a month. It's wrestling school. You're learning the ropes. If you're an advanced wrestler, then you're learning your camera angles, positioning, where the cameras are, working on promos, working on things to learn to get over. Psychology, get out of bad habits. NXT, if you like it, if you love it, fine. Enjoy it. But end it there. That's it. Don't carry that. Don't carry over your fantasies, your emotions, and your feelings, and your hopes and your dreams past NXT. I warned everybody about that. It's a developmental territory. It has absolutely zero to do with the main roster. You'll never see storylines continued from NXT onto the main roster. It's a reboot. Once you leave NXT, that's it. It's a fresh reboot. And this has become another irritant for me. those same less than 10% hardcore wrestling fans, WWE fans, anti-WWE main roster, who have latched on. I don't know when this started, but it all has to do with dirt sheets and the brainwashing and misleading of NXT. For the last 4 or 5 years, 6, all you hear is everything bad, Vince, everything great, Triple H. Here's another thing. Listen, if you are sensitive, if you get triggered, immediately stop watching the video because you're gonna lose it. Okay? I've been telling people for the last 3 years, 4 years, longer than that. Vince McMahon gave up almost 80% control of the main roster of the day-to-day. He has to work. He's focused more on corporate, and he's slowing down, and he's also grooming his daughter, Stephanie, and the son-in-law, as Jim Cornette refers to Triple H, to take over. He knows he's not going to be around forever. He knows something can happen, and he wants to leave his company, his family's company, that he built. Yeah, Vince McMahon, he built the company to what it is now. If it wasn't for Vince McMahon, we wouldn't be watching this video. You wouldn't be on your Facebook page. You'd be stuck watching Botchamania highlights. Again, I've said it many times. He stepped down. He gave Triple H and Stephanie 80% control of the main roster. Raw and SmackDown. And I said it also. He retained control, 100% control of WrestleMania, and he retained control of the main storylines and the top stars. Yes, he has the final say. So what does that mean? His final say is always bad? You mean to tell me nothing's good? Nothing good has happened on Raw or SmackDown or WWE in the last 6, 7 years, 8 years? No, nothing. Who do you think allowed CM Punk to do that quote unquote pipe bomb? That was a work shoot. That wasn't a shoot. That was scripted. Or it was loosely scripted. Who do you think allowed that? Who invented the yes chant? Yeah, Vince McMahon. Alright? And yeah, I believe me, I roast Vince McMahon just as much when he gets to deserve it. I don't like the notion though that he is this scapegoat, and that even more absurd that Triple H is going to come in one day sued. People are praying for Vince McMahon's death, and Triple H is going to come in and he's going to wave his hand, and he's going to usher in the golden age of wrestling. And even that, I already told people they're going to make excuses, and then they're going to start blaming. Oh no, it's when their fantasies are shattered and they become even more traumatized and disgruntled and disillusioned and confused and triggered. They're going to start blaming Stephanie. Oh no, it's not Triple H, it's his wife. His wife is ahead of him, and she won't let him do what needs to be done. Well, then what the fuck are you so happy about, and why are you praying for Triple H to take over the main roster? It's obvious the McMahons never let any of Triple H's good ideas pass through. Again, what about his bad ideas? Do they stifle his bad ideas also? So what is it? What's Triple H's role in this? What, he just goes out and signs all the superstars in the world with Vince McMahon's money and Vince McMahon's approval? Come on. I said it. And I found an article. Again, I couldn't find the article. I don't even know if this is the same one. This is was posted by AG. Who knows? These are nickel and dime. These are probably junior high school kids writing articles. This is posted on August 1st, 2018. I don't even know if this is current. I think this is a recycled article. I think this is the original article. Why Vince McMahon is not wanting to appear on WWE nowadays? Well, first of all, this is old. This is fake news, and this is probably a refurbished article from 2010, 2011. Vince McMahon had no desire in the early part of the decade to appear on TV. They would bring him out. He would return for a ratings boost. He didn't want to become a main character on the show anymore. See, he's good like that. They even played it out during that CM Punk angle where the board ousted Vince McMahon. Remember when he cried in his pink suit and Triple H was patting him and he was crying like a bitch too. That was a symbolic passing of the torch. But a lot of you miss it because you miss everything. And listen to this shit. No, I'm sorry, that's not that. A reason behind Vince McMahon wanted to appear in person on WWE while discussing the announcement of the first ever women's pay-per-view main event, WWE Evolution. Brian Alvarez of the Wrestling Observer said that Vince McMahon has been looking very old. Wow, what an observation! This guy Brian Alvarez, he might be even worse than Dave Meltzer. What kind of logic that? The guy's fucking 73 years old. Yeah, he's old. How many wrestlers have passed away in the last 10, 15, 20 years? Vince McMahon's still alive. He's been looking old. Yeah, that's why he's not coming out, because he's old and fragile. Let me guess. This is poisoning the well to say that Vince McMahon is senile, he's out of touch. Yeah, he's out of touch. Okay, yeah, all right. He's out of touch. Yeah, Vince McMahon's been out of touch since 1984 as far as pop culture is concerned. The guy is a fucking android. All he does is sit in the conference room and work out business deals for his company. According to Dave Meltzer, that's the reason that Vince, who will turn 73 this month, doesn't appear regularly on WWE television now. Stephanie and Triple H are the new faces of the company. Oh, no, not now. They have been since 2011, 2010. He further said that it was Triple H and Stephanie who were involved in the signing of the new WWE TV deals. They have been leading the company from the front recently. No, you stop being a mark. They've been leading the company since 2011 from the front. So look at that. Triple H and Stephanie negotiated the deals, the new TV deals, the $1 billion deals with USA Network and Fox. They were involved in it heavily. The WWE CEO rarely appears on TV anymore. He was more into the backstage work, but it looks like that too is reducing gradually. Oh, but I thought it was Vince who was out of touch. I thought Triple H was getting held back. No, the fact of the matter is, go look at the ratings. The ratings started dipping consistently every year since 2010, late 2010, 2011, when unconfirmed Triple H and Stephanie took over. Get over it. And again, with this NXT wrestlers not getting over on the main roster, again, if you're going to get triggered, stop watching. Because guess what? Eventually, soon in the near future, almost all the wrestlers and performers that are on Raw and SmackDown are going to come from NXT. And guess what? Triple H will also be in charge, officially in charge. There will be no Vince McMahon. And then what are you going to say? Oh, yeah, but it's Stephanie. Fuck off, fuck off, fuck off, fuck off. Well, let's quickly move on to a major wrestling event as it was billed last Saturday from Chicago, I believe. Now, I want to, again, I have to preface everything every segment I record here and everything I say. I didn't watch it. I tried to watch it. I watched some highlights. I've read extensively about it. I read the whole card and the results, and even some reviews. And I don't need to watch it. Just reading the card, first of all, turned me off immensely. But before I comment on the show, let me just say, yes, I am happy that Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and whoever put together this wrestling event in Chicago, and they have one planned, I think, for next year in Madison Square Garden. Great. It's good for them. They're making money outside of WWE. That's great. Now I had to hear, oh, this is a small step. For what? Small step for what? What do you think? This is going to become the norm? These are maybe once. These are going to be maybe annual events, maybe for a couple of years, and then it's going to disappear before you know it. The first time they book one of these buildings and it doesn't sell out, like the G1 is it, G8, whatever the hell it is in San Francisco a couple of months ago, had trouble selling tickets. Only 2,000 tickets, 3,000 tickets. As soon as the first time that one of these shows bombs, and I don't mean entertainment value, I mean financial. This is another thing that lost on many of these fans. And I say these fans because I'm talking about the hardcore fans, because these are the fans that are most vocal. Wrestling is not a video game. A lot of them lose sight of the fact it's a television show. A scripted television show, like The Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, The Sopranos. Characters come on. Some characters stick around and have big parts and are involved in big scenes. Some die within a week. It could be a great actor. He's after 2 episodes he gets killed on The Sopranos. Why? Because he was only there. He only signed to make a cameo appearance. It's great that and again, small step to what? WWE is a monopoly. Again, I always say it's not only a monopoly, they are, pay attention, an iron fist monopoly. This card was a super card. This is reminiscent of the 80s and early 90s when all companies sans WWE would get together. Companies and stars would get together who weren't involved or working for WWE would get together and make these supercards events, NWA events in 1983. Supercard. I forgot. There was I'm showing my age here. Back when a lot of us used to watch wrestling on VHS tapes, there was a few shows put on by the NWA, AWA, Memphis Supercards. The NWA champion would wrestle the AWA champion. Jerry Lawler from Memphis was a Memphis heavyweight champion. He would, Mid-South, whatever the hell his company was, he would face Ric Flair, the NWA champion, and so forth. You would have the Road Warriors face the Midnight Express. The dream matches. Those are all legit major stars. And then you look. Then I started reading. I don't mean to laugh, but I started reading the card for All In, and I just laughed. Yeah, the highlight of this show was Cody Rhodes facing Nick Aldis for the NWA heavyweight belt, 10 pounds of gold. That Cody booked himself to win, and that's fine. I've been hearing people, he booked. Listen, that's not the first time. A lot of people don't know the history of wrestling. Jerry Lawler, who ran Memphis, booked himself to win all the time because it's his promotion, and he's the star. And why do they do that? Because they're going to be loyal to the company. They're not going to get built up to be a major star and then jump to a different company or a different territory. That's why they do it, and that's why they do it now. So Cody, I guess in tribute to his father, very emotionally reminiscent to his late father, Dusty Rhodes, who was a former NWA heavyweight champion. At the end, he won. He had the bloody crimson mask and the blonde hair, just like his father. I guess it was a good moment if you're a Cody Rhodes fan. But let's go over these numbers. So above is the latest NWA video featuring a bunch of clips from All In. I'm not going to play them because they will block this. So some more numbers are rolling out from last week's All In. Again, before we preface this, when I suggested and I kind of hinted that on Facebook that All In didn't go all out. Oh, you had to hear the defense. Oh, nothing is perfect. Anybody who says it's perfect, something is perfect is bullshit. It's a small step. The same people who bash WWE. Okay. Some numbers are rolling out for last week's All In, and this is the most important thing. Forget whether you were entertained. Forget whether you thought it was the greatest show in the history of all shows, or you thought it sucked. It's the money. What do you think these people do for free? Brock Lesnar, he asks for too much money. He's selfish. He doesn't respect the business. It's all about the business. It's all about money. These people, if there was no money in this, Cody Rhodes wouldn't be wrestling. Omega wouldn't be wrestling. The Young Bucks wouldn't be wrestling. Yeah, they like to entertain you. They like to entertain the fans if they get paid. So the Events Live gate was 458,000, 459. Let's just say 460,000, which is, I guess, it's pretty good. It's and every merchandise item selling out, and I would dare bet most of that merchandise was Bullet Club merchandise. Starcast ended up selling 11,000 tickets, but people bought multiple tickets to different events. That doesn't mean 11,000 people attend the event. I don't know what that means. Did they have? Oh, I guess they must have had different events throughout the weekend or the pre-show. Also, Fight TV grossed more than $1 million between the All-In pay-per-view and Starcast pay-per-view, which is estimated to be in excess of 20,000 pay-per-view buys. Oh my God, 20,000? That's it? If WWE put out a pay-per-view and only 20,000 people would buy it, they'd go out of business. Or they'd be, heads would roll, there would be some major changes. 20,000. Again, I said New Japan only has 100,000 network subscribers to their network. 60,000 coming from Japanese citizens. 40,000 from the U.S. and other parts of the world. I told you, Ring of Honor only has 250,000 viewers average every week on Spike TV, wherever they are on. Impact, 300,000 viewers. NXT, 300,000. So that's why I laugh when people make fun of Raw's audience every week. Oh, the ratings are slipping. It's the number one show on TV every week. If not number one, a decimal point behind Love and Hip Hop. Same thing for SmackDown. SmackDown wins its slot every week. They have the most viewers outside of Fox News. How many people watch this, you think? The pay-per-view, 20,000 people watch this. Okay, maybe afterwards people will... it was not available on the New Japan Pro Wrestling Network. It was available later on. Okay, see, but I admit this. See, I'm not burying... I'm reporting the facts. Listen, all my goal here is to sober up a lot of these fans. That's it. To sober up and make some sense out of all this chaos. The All-In 0 Hour, which is the pre-show, they copied WWE. Now, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Stop trying to be WWE. If you're gonna be a viable alternative to WWE, then don't copy WWE. If there's anything that resembles WWE, change it. If it's lighting, change it. Don't make your show or your format look like WWE. Otherwise, people who tune in or who accidentally stumble upon it, they say, oh, this is like the garbage version. This is like the poorer version of WWE. No, thanks. Listen, again, this is another thing. Wrestling is not that popular right now. Oh, the indies are popular. Shut the fuck up. You don't even know what the indies are. The indies are high school gyms. Anybody who sets up a ring in a bar or a strip club or in a backyard or in a parking lot. They can have matches for their so-called indie promotions, and that's it. This is not indies. These are the top 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 promotions in the world behind WWE. New Japan, Ring of Honor, Impact, PWG, Guerrilla Wrestling, AAA Mexico. The main event, the last match, which again, see, why wasn't Cody? How come there's no none of these nerd fans bitching about Cody Rhodes closing out the show, right? Shouldn't the championship, the heavyweight belt, that's the most important thing. Should that close out the show? How come there was a 6-man tag team to close out the show? Oh, and if I saw the ending of that match on Botchamania. They completely botched the finish of the match. What happened was they ran out of time. The show went over. The previous matches of the show was overrun, and they had to call the match. You heard the referee scream out, "Go home now." FedEx didn't hear it. He fucked it up, and they had to cut away. They had to end the pay-per-view abruptly. I don't even have to keep going over these numbers and the statistics. I know. I saw the lack of buzz in the following days. I saw already people considering, oh, this match wasn't good, but it wasn't WWE, so I love it. No, that's not an argument. And that sure as hell is not any basis of reality. You loving it has nothing to do with the success of the wrestlers, of the company they're wrestling for. It has nothing to do with the money. Show me the money. If they're not making a profit, your entertainment, it doesn't matter. Okay. I knew I knew it wasn't that good of a show. The names, there was literally names fighting in the mid card I never even heard of, and then a lot of names in the Battle Royal that are dinosaurs. They got every retired wrestler to show up. They got DDP and Tommy Dreamer to walk Cody Rhodes down to the ring. It was supposed to be UFC. And come on, give me a break. And now you hear what you heard Solomonster say. Oh, so many people are afraid of their favorites coming to NXT and WWE. Why? Because they're not going to win every match? Why? Because the show's not going to be about them? That's it. If you have any expectations similar to that, then you're forever doomed. Stop watching wrestling. Stop watching WWE. Go play W2K19 and maybe you get your thrills and satisfaction that way. And that's not a joke. I don't mean that in a disparaging way when I say go play your video game. You know why? Because I did that. I did that 15 years ago. It was 1998, 1999. I was disgruntled. I was getting upset that my favorites weren't winning. And my favorites went from ECW when they debuted on WCW and Raw. They weren't as good, or they weren't pushed as good as they once were. So go play a video game. Believe me, the games are much better now than when I was playing. PlayStation 1. Yeah, it's much more realistic. Go on career mode. And you know what? Here, this is a secret. There's a little tip. Just base everything off of what's actually going on and just make little tweaks to the show that you think would work better or that you want to see, okay? That's how you do. Don't start changing up everything and turning everything upside down. And you'll be much happier. And stop with these ridiculous expectations. And finally, before we end the video, I want to add this topic in because it was requested to me to cover this. The last few weeks, Elias, on his weekly segment, WWE has been using his segment to promote the women's division and the upcoming. They're making angles and storylines for the upcoming Evolution pay-per-view, which, as of now, has not received good sales. I'll preface this. Yeah, I'm happy for the women. You know what? This is the most interest I've had in women's wrestling ever. See that little blondie? Yeah, she's hot, but she's a great heel. She gets it, and she has it. If you don't know what that is, then get a clue. I'll tell you. It's this. The facial expressions. The facial expressions. The facial expressions. The facial expressions. And it's not just making one face, it's range. You know what that means, range? Well, you can make a happy face, to a mean face, to a confused face, to a scared face, to an arrogant face, to a funny face. Just presence. Elias has it. He has it. She has it. Are they the greatest wrestlers in the world? No. Where did it say the greatest wrestlers in the world equals success? They've been using this segment to get people over and introduce people. Last week was Trish. She slapped him, and people said, "Oh, he's buried. He's buried." And Elias is not being buried. Yeah, he may be made to look ridiculous sometimes, and he gets the short end of the stick. But he could do that because he's bulletproof. You notice, I always say, what do I always say? I always quote Scott Levy-Raven. The wrestling, he said, and it's a direct quote, is probably the least important part about it. It's working on your character, adding layers to your character. And these are the two best examples. If you are a young, aspiring professional wrestler, you should watch these two. Learn from them. They don't have the greatest movesets. They don't have flippity-flop 450 splashes. And I told you, only less than 10% of the audience probably pays attention to moves and associates this move with that wrestler and this finisher with that wrestler. To the general 80%, 85% of the regular audience, casual audience, after 5 minutes, it's rock'em sock'em. It's like a blur to them. They just want to see the good guys get revenge on the bad guys. Okay? Just like any TV show. And if you're an Elias fan, don't worry. I wouldn't be worried about it. See, how come Elias fans don't give up on Elias right away after a month? You don't hear Elias fans saying he's buried. Now, you know who's coming out and saying he's buried? The NXT nerds. The hardcore anti-WWE nerds are saying it. Because they're jealous of Elias. They're jealous of Alexa. In their minds, they can't figure out why WWE pushes them so much, why they are on the forefront, why they are on this level, and their favorites are on this level. It's the fans. You see the fans there invested. There's no fancy entrances. The fans actually get more invested when they talk and when they wrestle. And I made an observation, and someone agreed. Elias right now, he's being booked like The Miz was in 2011, 2012, 2013 when he was doing The Miz TV, and every segment wound up with him getting punched in the face, knocked out by a celebrity, being made to look like a complete fool. Elias isn't made to look cowardly, because you saw what he did to Seth. Who did he hit? I forgot who he hit in the back with the guitar. I think it was Seth Rollins. But they're using his show, his segment, as a point to condition the audience that something important is going to happen. There's going to be a storyline, an angle being here. Sound familiar? Piper's Pit, the flower shop, the barber shop, the snake pit, the funeral parlor, the Brother Love show. The same thing. It was the Miz TV. It was Jericho's show. Now it's Elias. Believe me, if nothing screws up, his future is bright, and our future will continue to get bright. All right, that's going to do it. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.